going to be involving Phantom 3 brake work, and what you're looking at here are front brake backing plate assemblies with brake shoes attached and carrier plates, and these are actually from my car 3AZ36, and I think one of them, because you'll see a spare, it's not a doesn't have three front wheels, of course. Eventually we're going to take these assemblies apart and go through them, put new brake lining on the shoes. We're going to rivet those on, and then over here we have standing up a rear axle brake tube, and I wanted to go through the brake equalizer, which is what we're looking at here. It's all supported with these needle roller bearings in these joints. Just wanted to go through those and show you how all that works, so you have a better idea. And then over here we have brake drums. We're going to take all these apart, take the wheel bearings out, and I'll show you what's all involved with that. We have special tooling to do that. So yeah. So let's get started. Okay, so tonight we are working on the front brake assemblies of the Phantom 3 3AZ36. The Phantom 3 that we're doing the total restoration on. And what we're going to do is we're going to take apart the whole assembly. So you'll probably remember in a previous video that we took this assembly off. And the nice thing with Phantom 3 is that you can take it off as an assembly and put it on the bench, and then take it apart from there. And that's what we're going to do. So once you get it off and on the bench, you can then proceed to take off this carrier plate, which we'll do now. So we're going to take off these 1/4-inch nuts, these, and then these, and then I'll have to flip it over and get the nuts off on this other side, and we'll proceed from there. So normally these are lock tab washers. I don't know why somebody put lock washers under these, but at least they put something there. I might have the other head of the bolt might be slipping there, so we'll circle back to it. So it looks like I'm going to have to pull the backing plate off to get this bolt out because it hits the turnbuckle adjustment there. So I'm going to have to circle back and get this now. Pick up all the little bolts. Excuse me while I get a wrench. Stay there. All right. Tricky. Very tricky. Okay, so we got all the small nuts and bolts off. We have the lock tab washer that connects these two, where it bends over these two, bends back. So now we are going to undo these. They look a little rusty, so we'll be ready. Yep. And there's the lock plate. So now we should be able to tab these out. Oh yeah. And so those have nice steel bushings. So I'm going to do what I can to keep those together. Hopefully. And give it a whirl anyway. So a nice close fit. I also wanted to point out to people that the nice original finish is still on a lot of these parts. Sort of like a brown kind of primer look to it. You'll see. Of course I wrote on there, that's me. Somebody else you'll notice has done some scribe work in some areas. And you'll see the shoes have that finish on them. And I think in some cases I'm going to try to preserve that, because I mean it's lasted 89 years and it's done a good job. And I'd hate to say goodbye to it at this point. Some may just blast it all off there and say goodbye to it, but I'm not going to. The other option, which I've done in the past at times when everything's just so rusted, is to blast it off and then use a red oxide primer, because it's kind of similar to that. And anyway, they use this finish throughout the whole chassis. You'll see on some cars that were well preserved this red looking finish. It even has like a little bit of a purplish haze to it. Here, I'll bring the camera up a little bit closer so you can see it. And it's very durable. I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's even the same stuff it's used on the interior of some of the engines. But it's really neat stuff. I wish I knew what it was. In some of the material I've seen it written down and referred to as Valentinos or Valentines. So I'll see if I can find that information and a little bit more details on it. I do know some people that have mixed up, because they were really purists, and they mixed up Rust-Oleum brown and red oxide primer together till it had that look to it, and used that, and it looked pretty good. So and it's very durable. But I don't think I'm going to go that route. I do have the rest of the chassis in gloss black, and I do tend to keep that way. But you know, again, if I can preserve this on some of the areas, especially if it's interior like this, then I think why not? And I'll show it on this again. So yep, there it is. So really neat stuff. So if anybody has any opinions or anything on that, I'd love to hear about it. Please put it in the comments. If you think I'm going about it wrong, I'd like to hear about that too. Wrong or right or whatever you think, just put it in there. Alright, so now we got this part of it apart, and now we're going to continue and we're going to undo springs. I might need to get a smaller set of side cutters. Well, maybe not. Yep, here they are. The only problem with the small ones is sometimes they cut through the pin instead of just leveraging it out. So I'll switch over to the larger ones. There we go. And of course you have this retainer as well. There it goes. I don't know why it was being difficult. And I might as well get the one on the other side since I'm here. And that's not good with it stiff like that, of course. And with that out of the way, I would have thought that I could have gotten that out. But not yet. Oh, there you go. And I think there's a possibility these are held on there with needle roller bearings. So I'm a little afraid to pull this off because they might all fall out. So let's just check it out and see. So it looks like you really have no other option but to take these nuts off to get that out of the way. And to do that. So let me get a wrench to do those. And there are these spacers as well, and they kind of are the complementary part of the flange area, like that, but on the other side, of course. So I'm going to measure their thickness and just keep it as a reference. Right there for now. keep things together for the time being. So I did manage to get the assembly completely apart. The shoes are off. The pivoting mechanism and the linkage and all that's also off. And I made a, I wouldn't call it a discovery, or maybe a memory relapse, we'll call it, in that all of the pivoting points are supported with needle roller bearings. And so my memory kicked in once I started taking those apart, and all these needle rollers started falling out and onto the floor and all over the place. So the this pivoting shaft mechanism is supported on needle rollers, as well as this one, which supports this arm. So the needle rollers go into this channel there. So and then on this outer part they ride on that. So I think I managed to find them all, and this is what they look like. But if not, I think I can get ones. But I do have an extra or two backing plate that I managed to find over the years. So we should be in good shape. But I just wanted to give you an overall view of what that's like. So we do have the shoes off. So now I can take those apart. We got to take off the anti-squeal shoes. Those need to come off, and then the linings need to come off. These are actually have some signs of wear on them, which is kind of unusual. If you look at the other ones, they're a lot meatier. And everything will get cleaned up, including the needle rollers. And there's actually a, in this one, it has a leather seal in it. So we'll put a new modern type seal in that, and get things back together, and we'll be in really good shape.